Well, welcome back to Elland Road. It's another very special edition of The Last Tackle. Magic Weekend, of course. 6 games on the menu, all crucially important in the story of this season. Elland Road is the setting. The Betfred Super League is the place to be this weekend, and we will talk you through all of it across the next half hour or so here on The Last Tackle. Well, day one, Magic Weekend at Elland Road. We've got it all laid out in front of us, 6 belting games on the cards. Anika Prim joins me pitchside. You're in your home city, Magic Weekend in Elland Road. Are you walking around, thumping your chest, whatever you lot from Leeds do?
That's it, Leeds. I was here on Wednesday night to watch Leeds United miserably lose to Middlesbrough, unfortunately. But to be back here and to be back playing the real sport is amazing. It's down the road from me. Leeds Randers are playing tonight, which is amazing. And, you know, who doesn't love rugby league in the hometown?
I didn't really know what to expect when it was announced as Elland Road, but now we're here. This is pretty good. It's a great venue, isn't it? You're right on top of it, and as we say, day one, we start off with a battle at the bottom, and it's all up from there.
Well, that's the thing as well, and this stadium's not as big as maybe the previous ones with you, so hopefully we'll get it full to capacity, get the atmosphere going. Outside is a great fan zone, and then of course the rugby. You know, we're starting off with the bottom two that clashing it out, which will be great, and then building up. You know, and Wigan, St Helens is going to be a great clash, and then obviously Leeds, Warrington. What a game that'll be. Yeah, we'll come on to that. Let's just talk about that middle one, Wigan versus Saints. It's a really interesting prospect, this, because obviously Wigan have been very up and down in the last couple of weeks. They've kind of kept themselves in that fight for top spot, but certainly not convincingly. And St Helens, all of a sudden, a few bodies back. It's a very different prospect to if we were talking about this game a month ago. Yeah, well, Harry Smith's a massive loss, isn't he, for Wigan? He's so pivotal. And then Wello signing that new deal will give him some confidence, getting the bodies back. We saw that Walmsley was back and doing really well the other day. So, you know, I think that St Helens at the right time can probably get one over on Wigan. They'll be sore from that loss last week, which was awful. So either my Pete's made them grow from it, or indeed we'll see another defeat to Wigan. Yeah, we are pitchside at Elland Road. There's all sorts going on around us. People walking across shots, that kind of thing. Rounding off the day, and again, I'll come to you for the kind of Leeds perspective on this. If this was even 2 weeks ago, I feel like the atmosphere in that Leeds end would have been very different. But all of a sudden, kind of all's rosy in the Elland Road garden, the Headingley garden. Yeah, honestly, like, I don't think you could have written last week. If you told me last week we'd take the win against Wigan, even by a point, I would have taken it. So, confidence going forward. Brad Arthur's obviously started to make an impact there as well, and I think that the Leeds fans will be in the 100 today, which will pack this place out, and it'll be a great atmosphere. And like I said, it's a perfect stadium to A, fill out, and B, the atmosphere is amazing. Yeah, I think it'll be pretty special tonight. Warrington fans will turn up in numbers as well, they always do. Their season obviously well alive in terms of that league leadership and who knows beyond. And obviously when the fixtures come out at the beginning of the season, we don't know what's going to be at stake by the time we get to Magic Weekend. But just with it being that slightly bit later, there is a real kind of sense of anticipation today. Yeah, well, it's an important time of the season, isn't it? And you've mixed it up a little bit. Normally we see that those battles and the clashes that we like to see, like Leeds Castleford, but actually so much is riding on these games today, and particularly for that bottom of the table clash, FC versus London Broncos as well. That's going to be really key for whoever comes out on top. Wigan, obviously, they want to get back up to the top spot, so they've got to pull the win off. St Helens need to maintain that top 6 spot, so it's going to be all to play for, which I think is more exciting. I know I'm kind of like up in the air about what I thought about the timing, but actually this makes it a hell of a lot more exciting now. We're chomping at the bit, ready to go. London Broncos, Hull FC are not far behind us. All to play for. Day one Magic Weekend. Atmosphere building. Should be a cracker. Go 5.
Campagnolo, who's been a real box of tricks all afternoon. He's pinched the pocket. Absolutely brilliant stuff from Josh Rourke. A flying finish for the fullback, and London Broncos will close out the game.
Well, full-time game 1 of Magic Weekend, and a scoreline that not many people saw coming. London Broncos 29, Hull FC 4. It puts the two clubs on level points at the bottom of the table, and London Broncos have undoubtedly their best performance and win of the season. Let's catch up with their captain, Will Lovell. Of all the stages to put in probably your best performance of the season, this is a pretty good one.
Yeah, mate, yeah. I mean, we've been building for sort of 6-7 weeks now. We had a bit of a reboot. You know, we looked at ourselves quite critically and sort of looked at where we could improve, and, you know, obviously targeted a certain amount of games, and obviously this being one of them. So, yeah, really proud of the boys today.
You got your noses in front in the first half, kind of first 10-15 minutes of the second. It felt like you were kind of sizing each other up, but the way that you finished that game must give you real confidence.
Yeah, and that's been the message all week, really, that, you know, it won't come in the first 20, not the first 40. It might be, you know, 78th minute, and that's what I think it was credit to the boys there, that we just kept going, plugging away, and it, you know, sort of backed up with a few tries at the end there.
And you must be pleased with the way that your tries came as well, because you got through your sets and a few fifth tackle options coming up trumps, a few kind of off-the-cuff plays as well, but you looked dangerous when you got forward.
Yeah, I mean, I think a scrappy game in Hull, really, with offloads and things like that, but really proud of our big men today, and the boys coming out of backfield, and then the halves with some classy finishes there with Rourke at the back, doing really well.
It puts you level points with Hull as we approach the kind of final few games of the season. Obviously a lot of talk about the off-field side of things, but it gives you a really good opportunity, doesn't it, to kind of, you know, not finish on that bottom as so many people tipped you to.
Yeah, mate, we were written off from the start, weren't we? And I think that's been a blessing, really, that, you know, we've gone under the radar. Yeah, we've had some learning curves all the way, but we've quietly been building, and you know, we're quietly confident that we can do something in this league, and I think we've proven that.
Feels like you picked up a few extra Broncos fans today as well. I think most of this stadium was cheering you on towards the end.
We're everyone's favourite second team, aren't we? That's the thing. So yeah, no, it's great to play in front of these. Great occasion for some of our young players as well to have this. You know, what a game to play in.
Well, congratulations, enjoy it.
Cheers, mate. We'll have a few beers, eh?
Well, Kyle, fresh from the commentary box.
Yeah.
Hull FC versus London Broncos. The result always a possibility, but the scoreline I'm not sure too many people would have seen coming.
I agree, Lewis. I don't think too many people would have seen that scoreline, but what I will say was the commitment that London Broncos showed for one another, especially in defence. There was a couple of moments in the game where they just kept turning up, they kept moving the legs, and they denied Hull FC a couple of maybe half opportunities, would you call it? But, you know, other than that, I thought Hull FC were poor. I thought that was a complete reflection of their season. You know, I mentioned in commentary 52 players they've used this year. How any side, how any club can build any continuity or connection within that. Having said that, they were way off today, and credit London Broncos where credit's due. They came, they played, and they got themselves a famous win.
Yeah, as soon as you saw the team sheet come out and you see the shirt numbers, you start to get an appreciation for how tough Hull FC have done it this year. London have done it tough as well, but look, there's a lot to be said of what's coming with the IMG and the gradings and where London will be next year. But just on the face of it today, you know, they've really brought something already to this event and to Super League.
Oh, without doubt, they've kicked Magic Weekend off, you know, in a great fashion. You know, I think the difference between the two sides, Lewis, is that London have been improving as the season's gone on. The last couple of weeks they've been improving. You know, they had a great win against Catalans. They had a great performance against Warrington with a very respectable scoreline. And then they've just done that here today. So, look, you know, there's still a couple of games left to go. It would be interesting to see if London could find another win, what that does in terms of with IMG. Can they kick them out? Yeah, you know, it's interesting, but they've certainly brought something to the party. And, you know, a special mention for their spine, Campagnolo, Ollie Leigh, and of course the player of the match, Josh Rourke. What a player he is. You know, you would imagine that he's probably the next one that's going to be rated on. You know, quality performance.
Well, you've just touched on exactly what I was going to ask you, because without wanting to be disrespectful to London Broncos, loads of rumours flying around about where players might be next season, and you get the sense, I mean, Josh Rourke especially, he was outstanding today, but you get a sense that maybe a few of these players just fancy Magic Weekend as a bit of a shop window.
Well, look, I think that would have been the message for all the players all year. Look, you know, you're in this competition, it's going to be tough, there's going to be huge bumps in the road, and there's going to be lessons to be learned, and I think, like I said, London Broncos have been improving. You know, Ollie Leigh rumoured to join Warrington Wolves, his brother Bill at Hull KR, you know, and I think Josh Rourke, it's only his 7th appearance at this level, he comes up with 7 tries. You know, there's a player there, and I loved everything about what he did today. It was great.
And it was a very kind of uniquely Magic Weekend thing. It reminded me of a few years ago, don't want to remind you of it, but Catalans versus St Helens in Newcastle, where it
Thanks
seemed
for that.
like 90% of it. You've retired now, we can laugh about it. But it seemed like 90% of St James's Park on that day were Catalan fans, and it felt like today, this is probably the biggest home crowd London Broncos ever played in front of.
Absolutely, you know, and you could tell that the players fed off it and they loved it. You know, when Roke scored that try, and then when Leyland scored that try down there, you know, 3 out of the 4 terraces were all up on the feet and applauding. You know, brilliant, and that's what this weekend's about. It's about bringing fans together and creating moments and stories in what is, you know, the final run towards the business end of the season. Of course, those two sides won't be in it, but that was just a good atmosphere, that one.
What about this next one? You can feel already, just being pitchside, that it's just gone up a notch in terms of the energy. There's a lot of salary cap on the sidelines from both teams.
Yeah.
Saints, all the talk will be about the spine.
Yeah.
It's very topsy-turvy.
It is, and for those reasons, this is why I expect this game to be very, very physical this afternoon. You know, the halfback combination there of Moses Mbai and Ben Davis. You know, nobody would have said that at the start of the year. Equally with the Wigan Warriors, with young Farrimond and Adam Kieran in there. You know, it's gonna be up the middle, this one. I really do believe it, and you know, two sides that have. It doesn't matter where they are in the table, Lewis. We say every time, it's not a cliche. There's a genuine respect between each other, but there's a genuine hatred there as well. And it's important for whichever side can get these 2 points tonight, can dictate where or whereabouts they finish in this league is going to be huge. You know, Wigan, of course, have got their eyes on that top 2, that home draw, and for Saints, look, they're just trying to catch it and finish as high as they possibly can.
The context of it all is fascinating, isn't it? Because we've spoken about the players missing. We've seen St Helens and Wigan at Magic Weekend a load of times, but it feels like we're going to get to October, September, when the playoffs settle, look back on this day as one that meant something either way.
Yes, no, without doubt. You know, and again, I referenced the table. I referenced the fact that we've got 3 teams, you know, 32 and 30 points up there. You know, Hull KR and Warrington having fantastic seasons. Of course, we'll get to see Warrington and Leeds, which is another massive game in itself. But you can't take your eyes off this one. You know, St Helens, they need this win, I think, more than Wigan do. Busted St Helens are, but equally Wigan Warriors are too. So, and Wigan haven't been very convincing over the last month, that has to be said. There's an opportunity here for Saints if they want it this afternoon.
Well, we're sort of foot away from each other, we're shouting at each other. The atmosphere has gone up several notches, even just in the time that we've been talking. Wigan versus St Helens, one of the most famous rivalries in sport, needs very little selling, and on this, the most magic of weekends at Elland Road, we have got an absolute belter on the cards.
Saints being tested here, last one. Kieran calls for the ball. Is he going to launch it? No, they're going down the short side. Farrimond's dribble kick through. He collects it and he scores! Jack Farrimond is over. A Wigan teenager off the conveyor belt, and with skills like that, this is a perfect stage for him. 10 points to 0.
Well, how big could that be? Wigan Warriors back to form, back with a bang, beating the old enemy St Helens 20 points to 0. And to be honest, they never really looked like they were going to throw that game away. A really big defensive effort from Jay Field, helping them keep Saints to 0. But a very, very strong performance across the board from Wigan. Let's catch up from their camp and Adam Kieran. Adam, how important was it for that to put a performance and that kind of result together after last week?
Yeah, mate, of course. You know, they're a side you want to put a good performance against, and I felt like we'd done that. You know, we had quite a few positional changes, and you know, we had Faz leave after the warm-up today, so there was just another, you know, spanner in the works, and you know, I think the boys adapted well. You know, we knew our game plan, and I felt like we stuck to that most of the time. You know, obviously there's parts of that game where we, you know, fell away from it, and a couple of little fundamental errors, but all in all, I think the boys sort of dug in for each other, and that was the main thing we spoke about.
Is the most impressive part of that performance keeping them to 0 on the scoreboard?
Yeah, of course. You know, it's a little efforts like that. Well, not the little efforts. I shouldn't say little because it's massive. But, you know, Jay chasing back there and stopping that try, and you know, it's just turned up for each other. As I said, you know, that's what we spoke about doing, and something that we had to fix. So we did that well, and yeah, of course, pleased to keep them to 0.
Always a big game, and you two face each other on a big stage as well. What was the atmosphere like out there?
Yeah, it's good. Obviously, I'm looking around. I can see a lot of Leeds fans, a lot of Warrington fans. Obviously, they make noise as well. But you know, we know our fans come up and they turn up each week, and we can hear them, we can hear the chants, we can hear everything, and it gets us by. So, it's a big credit to them, and obviously a big credit to the weekend that's happening. It's a great round, and obviously I saw the first game, there was a bit of noise in that one, and then obviously look around now and it's massive. So, it's a credit to the Super League and what they've done here.
You've had a few up and down weeks in terms of results, but this feels like quite a big statement with 6 weeks or so left to take you into those semi-finals and beyond.
Yeah, exactly. I touched on it a little bit before, but you get you have to put people in positions that don't really play those positions, and it was just all about turning up for each other. And as I said, I'm real happy with how we went today, and obviously a couple of things to work on, but all in all, mate, I'm stoked to get that result and keeping a 0 as well. So.
Well, congratulations, mate. Enjoy tonight.
Thank you very much, mate.
Yeah, very happy, Adam Kieran, and why wouldn't he be? Wigan looking like their old selves again, beating St Helens 20 points to nil. Kyle,
yeah,
I know that will have hurt you a little bit watching that. Pick the bones out of that.
Well, look, it was disappointing, but you have to pay credit where credit's due, and I felt that Wigan were the dominant side. St Helens stayed with them for patches, and ultimately, I just think Saints came up with too many errors, too many penalties, too many pressure releases to build and claw our way back into that game, Lewis. But what Wigan showed tonight is that yes, they have a couple out. Both sides had a couple out. We spoke about it before, but Wigan perhaps just have that little bit more, or not perhaps, they have that more quality in order to step up. Young Farabon's try was something pretty special. Moment individual brilliance, and you have to own moments in big games, and he did.
It just felt like maybe, as we said, both teams had players missing, but it was the positions of the players missing for Saints that really hurt them. There were a few times when they did the hard work, got themselves into a position, and then just looked a little bit like they weren't sure where to go, where a Lomax or a Dodd or a Clark might have just steered them around a bit.
Yeah, I would agree with that, and look, this isn't making an excuse for St Helens, it's really not, but they get players back and then they lose Percival, they lose Clark, they lose Wellesby. They lost a couple more here today as well, and it's tough, and any Saints fan probably watching now would almost accept that it's going to be very difficult to see this team lift the trophy now. 5 weeks left, and if other results go the way it can do, I don't exactly say that Saints are safe for a playoff spot. I think they get the playoff spot 100%, but it's not all. It's not
a
all,
funny old thing. This
it is, and it shows you that the next game's a big one. The next game's a big one for all of that top 6, and then obviously you've got Salford and Leigh tomorrow. I mean, how's that one going to fare up? And if Leeds can win this next game, well, it puts the cat amongst the pigeons, Lewis, doesn't it?
We'll touch on that in a minute. I just want one more point about the game that we've just seen, and you mentioned individual brilliance with the ball in hand. Jay Field in his far corner with St Helens looked like they were just clawing themselves back into it. Matt Whitley, maybe there's an argument to say he's bombed it a little bit, but Jay Field, it's some defensive effort, isn't it?
No, it is. Look, there's two parts to it, isn't it? It depends how you see the game. If you look at it from the defensive aspect of Field, then absolutely. But if you look at it from, does he need to try? Look, all he's got to do is pretty much score the try, isn't it? But it's very easy sat where we are and looking at that. But look, I think you've just got to pay credit to Wigan to nil a Saints side. Take some doing.
I probably wouldn't have said this a week ago, but all of a sudden this next game is probably the one I'm looking forward to most out of the weekend. Leeds put on a really good performance against Wigan. They've got to prove it's not a one-off, and that's a big thing for them to do. But in front of this crowd, I think it could be special tonight.
You're absolutely right, Lewis. That was one of Brad Arthur's key messages, wasn't it? Was to make sure that what they did last week, if they can't replicate it again, it means nothing. And you can see very early on what he's trying to instill in the players, and they got that last week. They're in their home city here tonight. If you were ever going to get a Leeds performance, it would be tonight, wouldn't it? But again, I just think for the drama, the story of the league, if Leeds win tonight, it's all on.
And I don't want to get too far ahead of ourselves, but we've seen Leeds do this before, haven't we? From way back, just hit the accelerator at the right time of the season. Interesting bits in the lineup, some big performances needed. I mean, Jackson Field comes in, massive day for him, just a young lad, of course, and carrying the weight of that surname. It's a big day for him. Matt Frawley, I know a lot of people you're still wanting to see him kind of produce the goods for Leeds, but this could be the stage to do it.
I think Foley's been exceptional since Brad Arthur came to this club. Obviously, he got named captaincy in the absence of Cam Smith. Cam Smith returns tonight, of course. But Sinfield as well. You know, Brodie Croft's a huge loss. Let's not try and decorate anything else other than state the obvious. Brodie Croft is a massive loss for this Leeds Rhinos side. But you know, we talked a lot about Leeds. There's another team here. It's Warrington.
And let's talk about Warrington.
Yeah, Warrington
Sam
are flying.
Burgess, I mean, they looked rudderless at times for the last couple of years, probably going back further than that. Sam Burgess, they're not perfect week in, week out,
no,
but he's instilled something, hasn't he?
He has certainly. And look, they're sat, I think, second on the ladder now. They come into this game, though, having said that, against a pretty, I'm going to call it a lazy performance against Hull KR. Hull KR were brilliant that night, of course. But then they backed it up with it wasn't exactly a flattering scoreline against London. We know that they're having a dig, but they're at the bottom of the table. So they come into this needing, I think, Lewis, needing a performance.
I wonder what Sam Burgess will take into this game, because it is just a league game. There's just 2 points on the line. It's a big stage. They've kind of had that Wembley almost sighter, haven't they, to get that big game into them as a group. And I just wonder what it's like in that dressing room at the moment.
Well, I'll tell you what the message is as well. Don't forget, with Wigan's win, they're now third, Warrington. They sit third, so they're out of that top one. The top 1-2 is gold in terms of winning a grand final. I think it's some ridiculous stat, like 90% of all grand finalists have finished inside the top 2 or something like that. So it's important that they win tonight, you know. But look, another great game, Lewis.
Yeah, it's snakes and ladders, isn't it, at the top of the Super League at the moment. And Hull KR, of course, still to come tomorrow. Nothing's going to be won this weekend, but as we've said, we might just look back on it as a really, really important one.
Absolutely.
And what a game, as the Leeds Rhinos, right on cue, run out behind us to a huge amount of noise. Elland Road feels like Headingley times 10 at the moment. What a game we are in store for. The rounding off day one of Magic Weekend. Leeds Rhinos, Warrington Wolves.
Bateman. And the offload, and it's Duffy, and it's a hat-trick. 3 tries for the Warrington fullback. A flash, and a dive, and a score that confirms a big Warrington win.
So in a game that had a little bit of everything, Warrington Wolves come out on top, but my word, will they make to work for it. Had a fantastic second half, points on the board. Leeds did not go away in front of a very lively crowd here at Elland Road. Let's get the thoughts of Warrington forward, Paul Vaughan. Paul, a really good result scoreboard-wise for you guys. I suspect that was a lot tougher than the scoreboard suggests, though.
Yeah, the first half was pretty tough going there. We knew Leeds were going to come out far, and they did that. The line speed and their tightness in D's actually was pretty impressive tonight. So we knew we were coming for a game, and I think there's parts where we should, or we could definitely be a lot better, but. You know, we got a few games to build on that before the end of the season, so we're building each week, which is nice, and we're getting the result, which is pleasing.
You mentioned their defence, but you must have been really pleased though you guys fronted up in D as well.
Yeah, I think so. I think ideally we would have liked to keep them to 0 there, but they got a try for kick, which is a little bit disappointing. But I think there's a few parts in D where we probably could be a little bit tighter and around the ruck and all that kind of stuff, but that's been nitpicky. So we'll review it this week, and you know, we'll have a fair look at it and see if we can improve next week.
You look like a team that enjoys that kind of intensity this season, that really kind of enjoys being in those firefights.
Yeah, we've definitely been tested this season in defence. I think we're sort of the grit and steel we've shown has been pretty impressive. I think you know, we just wanted to be known as a team that sort of works hard for each other this year, and there's instances where we've shown that against Saints, where we're down to 11 men there, and I think you can really build on that. So it's pleasing, but you know. Like I said before, we've got a few games to build on before the end of the season. That's when it really matters. So a few games to go, we'll see how we go.
Obviously a win for yourselves. Wigan as well, winning today. Hull KR in action tomorrow. There's no margin for error, is there, when you're talking about that top 2?
No, it's really tight. So obviously a really tight competition this year. So we've just got to keep on, you know, fronting up and put in our performance. You know, good performances out there. We've got a lot of competition in-house for spots. So that's obviously, you know, it breeds honesty and hard work within the group, so it shows on the footy field that we're working hard, and we've got great depth here as well.
Well done today. Enjoy it, mate.
Beautiful. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Well, there we are, ready to do it all over again on day 2 at Magic Weekend, but let's just reflect on that final game last night. And Warrington, for the most part, very impressive. Leeds did give it a real crack in the second half, but ultimately the distance on the scoreboard was too great, wasn't it?
Yeah, of course, and Matt Duffy grabbing himself a hat-trick as well. He was sensational in that game. So yeah, many people would have thought going into that game that Leeds would give them a good go, and in parts and periods of the game they did, but I think the quality and the momentum that Warrington Wolves are on was too much for them, and Warrington get a much needed 2 points for them.
Felt like the benches were very significant in that game, and Warrington's ability to kind of roll the middles, that ability to just throw Danny Walker in and rest people, just that strength in depth seems to be really kind of pushing them along at the moment.
Yeah, and Danny Walker's enjoying he's having a wonderful season, isn't he? And his break that led to, I think it was the second try from Matt Duffy. You're right, Lewis. The bench and the big bench that Burgess has at his disposal is something that separates those that are outside of the top 6 and obviously those that want to go on and win trophies.
We're yet to see Holker obviously play in that middle game today, but it's a really kind of interesting dynamic now. Wigan winning yesterday, Warrington winning yesterday, and that top 3. I mean, we'll talk about the race for the Leader Shield, rightfully so, but those top 2 of your home playoffs, they're the ones that get the week off. It is such a benefit, isn't it, to go to finish in the top 2, and those 3 teams are just bunny hopping each other at the moment.
Yeah, they are. They're all just jostling and waiting to see who's going to slip up. But you look at the remaining fixtures, and Hull KR, they've probably got the most difficult running. I think they've got. I think it's 4 or 5 out of the remaining games are against top 6 opposition. So it's not going to be easy for Willie Peters. But having said that, if they can get through it, well, they're battle harder than probably more than most. I think Warrington only play 1 top 6 side, in their remaining fixtures. So it's going to be interesting to see how it all unfolds. But having said that, okay, I've got a difficult job here today, playing against Catalan Dragons. But Catalan Dragons that you never quite know what you're going to get out of them this season. So they have the capabilities of putting in big performances, but a couple of times this year we've seen them just sort of roll over.
Just one final point on Warrington before we talk about today. There's still some inconsistency there. They're still having their ups and downs, but just feels like maybe the big difference this season is that the gap between their peaks and their troughs is just a little bit smaller.
Yeah, I would agree with that, Lewis. I really would. And as well this time around they're led by a bloke that they all believe in, and you can tell that, can't you? And it is Burgess, the man that finally gets Warrington Wolves a title. We'll have to wait and see.
So moving on to day 2, and it's probably not the glamour tie, but I got a feeling that this first game today could be the game of the weekend. Leigh and Salford always have a good crack at each other. There's obviously a bit of a local rivalry there, and 2 teams that will throw the ball about. It's do or die for Leigh at this point, so they have to go out and put performance in, and Salford, as we seem to talk about every week, just pulling it out of the bag when you'd expect them not to.
Yeah, exactly. I agree with you again, fully that this is, for me, on paper, the game of the day. Loads of stories as we always talk about, and if Leigh can win here today, and you look ahead and you look at those teams that if Leigh win today, they start looking up, don't they, for a top 6 place. If they lose, similar to Leeds last night, you would imagine that it's over. If they were to win here today, and then Salford and St Helens, what they've got coming up, we could in a fortnight's time see Leigh breathing right down the neck of Salford and St Helens, fighting for that top 6 place. Saints have got a tricky game at Hull KR. Salford have got to go to a game against Huddersfield. So, it's all on today. Can't wait.
Yeah, it should be a belter today. We've kind of mentioned in dispatches that Hull KR Catalans game. Hull KR are a fascinating kind of storyline to this season, aren't they? Because I expected them to be in the playoffs. I expected them to do well, but to be in with a very real shout of finishing top at this stage of the season is probably beyond where I thought they would be.
Yeah. Look, I think many people would have, wouldn't have had them right up there this stage of the season. Good win back at home against Castleford last week, but the week before, what they did to Warrington was very, very impressive, I thought. And again, they've got some big fixtures coming up. We're going to learn a lot more about Hull KR in the next coming weeks.
And just to touch on the last game of the day, I know on paper it looks like it might be a little bit of a damp finish almost, 2 teams out of the playoff picture. But as a one-off game on a big stage, the pressure's off both of them. You'd like to think that they'll turn up and have a real crack today, and we'll get, if nothing else, we'll get 80 minutes of entertainment.
Yeah, of course, go on then. Of course, Castleford Tigers and Huddersfield, both pretty local to this ground, so their fans will come over and make the most of what has been a difficult season. I think Castleford at times, in recent times, have put some performances together that they can be proud of looking ahead to next year. And of course, Luke Robinson, he's continuing to learn a bit more about his playing group while he's in the hot seat.
Well, there we go. Day 2. There's the menu. Your starter for 10. Salford Red Devils against the Leigh Leopards. Atmosphere building around us. The music started to blare. As you can see, the team's going through their preparations. So we're ready to do it all over again.
Pape again. Asiata. Back for Pape. And Pape's found the gap here. He's got Hardacre in support. And Hardacre will put the game to bed. And the Leigh Leopards are banging on the door of the playoffs. And those sides above them had better watch out, because Zach Hardacre scores the try, which gets the 2 points for the Leigh Leopards, and their playoff dream is well and truly alive.
So day 2, game 1, and the playoffs are very much still alive for the Leigh Leopards. They've beaten Salford, they've nilled them. A fantastic performance from Adrian Lamb's side, and at the centre of it all, as ever, Lachlan Lamb. Lachlan, a massive win for you guys. Obviously a big stage in Magic Weekend, but a crucial 2 points as well.
Yeah, mate, it's not a secret where we sit in the ladder and how many points we're probably going to need. So we just need to keep winning, mate, and take it week by week.
And obviously 2 points with a performance to come with it. Is that as pleasing as anything, the way, especially in that second half that you kicked on?
Yeah, I think so, mate. We'll have to have a look at it, but I think the big one for us is the 0, from them on the board. That's what we're trying to pride ourselves on at this time of the year. So, that was the most pleasing part for me, mate.
Yeah, defensively, that's kind of the level you're going to need to be at, isn't it, for the next 6 weeks if you are going to get into that top 6?
Yeah, definitely. It's very tight at the top of the ladder, mate, and, anyone can beat anyone on their day, so you just got to be on.
And you were well back behind the post by a lot of Leigh fans today. Must be a really special moment to be able to share it with them.
Yeah, mate, they've been massive for us all season. Even at the start when we didn't quite get on a roll there, they supported us throughout, the start of the year and all the way to now, mate. They're awesome for us.
It keeps you alive. Does it almost feel like every game's a knockout game for you guys now?
Yeah, mate. I think, like I said, mate, we just got to keep winning and try and take it out of other people's hands. So, week by week, mate, we're just going to try and keep winning.
Well, congratulations. Enjoy it, mate.
Cheers, mate. Thank you.
So a big win for the Leigh Leopards. Their season stays alive. They move within 3 points of the playoffs, and a standout performance from them as well. A bit of a statement just to show the rest of the league, show those teams above them they're still in this.
Yeah, definitely, Lewis. I mean, they came here and they completely dominated the game. I thought the game was over after the first 20 minutes. Salford, very, very disappointed in them. I think that's probably one of the worst performances we've seen a Salford Red Devil side throw up, really. It started right from the off. I mean, Mark Sneed doesn't quite get his kick away, then they give away possession with ball in hand, then they leak a soft try in through Pape, then followed by 2 cards. It was just a catalogue of errors that at this level you have absolutely zero chance of winning if you're going to start a game like that. And Leigh have got enough quality about them, scored some wonderful nice tries. Pape and Asiata were very good through the middle of the field, as was Penny when he came on. They absolutely dominated and done a number on Salford.
And uncharacteristic of Salford as well, because even when they have lost this season, they tend to go down swinging. That was a limp at times.
Yeah, look, you get them performances, don't you? But you don't want them now. We've got 5 games left, and that's Salford now. That's only 2 wins in the last 6. Are we seeing Salford burning out? Have they peaked too early, Lewis? There's an awful lot left to go still, I get that, but someone is in danger of maybe slipping out because the Leopards are ready to pounce.
The opposite could be said for Leigh. They were the slow burners at the start of the season.
Absolutely,
yeah. Maybe they're just starting to hit form at the right time. They're leaving it late if they are going to sneak into that 6, but a nil on the scoreboard defensively for a massive boost. There'll be plenty of confidence, I'd imagine, in that changing room at the moment.
100%. They know that they've always been confident, haven't they, of their squad. They just haven't had it all out there. And I think Adrian Lamb mentioned that they'd only won 1 in their opening 7 games. Now, whether that deficit is going to be too much inside these final 5 games, that remains to be seen. But they go within 3 points now of Salford, St Helens and Catalans. And what they do have over Catalans and Salford is a much healthier for and against. So they'll be confident. This game that's coming next, Catalans, Hull KR. Catalans need to win that, otherwise they're going to be under pressure too.
Yeah, and it's interesting, is it, the dynamic with Magic Weekend when you get the kind of games that are loaded to the back of the weekend. Teams start to know what they need to do, teams know what's going on around them, and we're yet to see a game really kind of catch light at Elland Road this year, but just feels like maybe this next one, OKR, they need a win to keep themselves at the top, and the other two in that top three, as we've spoken about, have won, and as you say, Catalans now, both teams have really got to go for this.
Yeah, they have to. I think Catalans, like Salford, like Saints, they need another 2 wins to secure that, to really, really put the stamp on that top 6. And OKR got knocked off by Wigan. Wigan dominating, and another nil scoreline. It's only the first ever time that's happened that we've got 2 zeros in the games at Magic Weekend. Of course, Wigan beating Saints, look, it's going to be interesting, mate.
It feels strange, almost wrong saying it, like OKR have gone under the radar this season, but I think because of Wigan and all the talk around them, they almost have. And week on week, they put these performances in, they've got another opportunity today, and you kind of go, actually, they could win this, the whole thing.
Yeah, no, absolutely. It's funny, isn't it, in our game that the hardest trophy to win is the League Leaders' Shield. To be at the very, very top and have the consistency of doing so. And OKR, they're threatening to get a hand on that League Leaders' Shield, but they've got this game, and then they've got St Helens next week, and they've probably got the harder running out of the top 3 in terms of the quality of the teams they play around them, but they won't look any further than this one this afternoon.
Where do you put Catalans at the moment? Because it's kind of strange after probably a 3-year period of relative kind of peace and a steady ship, all of a sudden losing players, sacking players for disciplinary reasons, inconsistency. It's a little bit of a kind of reach back to what we thought of Catalans 3-4 years ago.
Yeah, I would agree with that. Kind of, a flaky side they've become. You're not quite sure what you're going to get out of them, and that was the old Catalan. Steve McNamara's done an exceptional job and had them right up there challenging for titles, and this season it seems like the wheels have maybe, I wouldn't say fallen off, but have derailed. And but they've already announced some big names for next season. But look, they're in the playoffs, or they more than likely will finish in the playoffs. Can they make enough noise and a bit of a threat in there? I don't think they can, but look, there's an awful long time to go, as we know, and anything can happen in the game of rugby league.
Well, the OKR fans to our right are definitely making enough noise, and why wouldn't they be? They're having an absolutely outstanding season, and it could get even better this afternoon. Coming up, game 2, Catalan Dragons against Hull Kingston Rovers.
Lytton and Lewis, and across to Tanginoa, who's fancying his own chances here and away, and Lytton goes sprinting towards glory, little dummy, and then he pops it off, and Hadley, desperately looking, pops it out, and Ryan Hall finishes it all off in the corner. It was like watching a circus for a moment, the ball flying all over the place, but it is Ryan Hall who gets there.
Game 5 of Magic Weekend in the books. Hull KR with a statement win. They are back at the top of the table, and a couple of tries at Elland Road for a bit of a hometown hero in these parts. Let's hear it from Ryan Hall. Quite a big statement win, that, on the face of it. You must be pleased with your work out there.
Obviously the scoreline, what was it in the end? 36-4. I think that this points come on the back of what we did in the first half. The first halves were a bit more intense, we had to put a lot more energy into the first half, and then we scored the points in the second half because we did the damage already to Catalan.
The way you scored your points in the second half, you mentioned the work you did in the first half, but just seemed like you had a game plan and you stuck to it, and there was always support runners, there always seemed to be second options. You just looked to kind of really organise an attack.
That's really pleasing. We've been striving for that, so it's good to hear that we've achieved that from an outside perspective. That's part of rugby league. That's what rugby league looks like when you do it well. That's what we've been striving for a long time. All the best teams try and play it that way, so that's all we've tried to do, and it's come off today.
And obviously you've helped your points difference as well, back to the top of the table. There's a lot of rugby league to be played before we start talking about trophies and playoffs, but I'm sure you'd have bit my hand off if I'd offered you this at the start of the season.
Oh yes, certainly. We've put ourselves in a good position, and just like you said, nothing's sorted out yet. We've still got a lot to do, and I think we've got the right group and the right mentality to go for it, and that's what we're striving for, like I said.
You mentioned the group. It's really noticeable watching you guys, the way you celebrate the little wins, the defensive efforts. It seems like a really together group of players.
We just enjoy doing stuff well. You know, when stuff goes well for us, you know, we know that we get a benefit from it. So we'd like to celebrate that, and you know, energy creates energy, and that's what we just try and do.
And really well backed behind the sticks today, as you always are, to be fair. But you must really want to reward those fans with something special this year.
Yeah, it's been a while since they've got their hand on something. Like we say, we're still a lot of water to go under the bridge yet, but you know, it's in touching distance. It's easy as this. Just win 5 games and we've done it, haven't we? So we've got the league leaders, and then we've got a home semi. But like I say, a lot of work to do that goes into that.
I know you've scored a lot of tries at a lot of stadiums in big games, but must be nice to get over a couple at a place like this on a weekend like this.
Yeah, my home city team. It's really nice. I've scored a few here before, but my actually win record's terrible here. If you want to look that one up, it's not very impressive at all. So it's good to get one on the positive on here.
Well, congratulations, mate. Enjoy it.
Cheers, thank you.
So yeah, Hull KR with a big win, back to the top of the table. Not that there was any doubt about it, but they are the real deal, aren't they?
Yeah, but what a game and what a performance they put on then, you know, to put that score past Catalan. I did think it'd be a little bit tighter, but I'm so happy for Hull KR to be there and pipping that post again and fighting for that top 2 spots.
We've not had a classic this weekend yet, it's fair to say, but all the top 3 have won, which makes that race even more interesting. Leigh have made the playoff picture very different. Catalans' result there obviously benefits them. Salford slipped, but then Catalans and Leeds have as well. So it's been a kind of constantly moving narrative all weekend.
It feels like a bit like a Challenge Cup, because in the Challenge Cup anything can happen, and Magic Weekend, particularly having it so late, having it so, you know, it's so tight in what's happening. I think it's kind of been one of those weekends where anything can happen. That's what's happened. You know, you've got the cliche top 3 have delivered and performed, but that race for the squeezing into 6 is really tight now, isn't it? Like, that was the exciting part.
And I think teams will be looking at that Hull FC performance, and your Wigans of the world, and you know the teams that Hull KR have got coming up, Warrington as well, of course, will be looking at that and going, they're a finely oiled machine at the moment, because they're not only they're winning, but they played some really nice rugby league today. Yeah,
Next week they've got Saints, which is going to be a big ask, but is it now, based on what Saints' performance? But you know, as a coach, Willie Peters will watch that performance yesterday and be like, is it that much of a struggle now? However, we don't know how they can bounce back. You know, he's got numbers and you know, bodies coming back, but KR are a formidable force at the minute, aren't they?
Yeah, they are. One more game left this weekend. It's a bit of a damp squid in terms of what it means to the league table, but sometimes when the pressure's off on a stage like this, that's when you get the best stuff.
Yeah, people said that they've left the worst game till last, but maybe not, because it could go either way, couldn't it? And for both teams, they need a little bit of confidence, and they both need to get the win. So I think it could be a tight squeeze then. I honestly can't call which way to go.
Just want to get your verdict. Magic weekend at Elland Road. I'm a convert. Have you enjoyed it?
Listen, it's my hometown. Of course I have done. It's down the road from me. Being a Leeds girl, Leeds United fan, so I've loved every second of it.
Well, who knows where we'll be next year. But right here, we've got one more game of Magic Weekend 2024. Castleford Tigers and Huddersfield Giants.
Milner in at dummy half, gets the ball away. Russell stands up, another tester for Gary. He's going to come and try and get it, didn't get it, it's here now, it's going out wide, and Eason Masters back in the Giants team. Strolls over the score. No need for a second look. Gary couldn't deal with a high kick.
Huddersfield Giants, the last team in the winner's circle then at Magic Weekend 2024. They've seen off the Castleford Tigers. A much-needed win, some much-needed confidence gained you would expect for the Giants. Let's catch up with Eason Masters. Lisa, congratulations on the win. A tough-fought battle, but good to be in the winner's circle at Magic Weekend.
Yeah, it is good to get a win. You know, the club's got a good history here at Magic Round, and it's also good to be back as well. It's been up for 8 weeks, and the lungs really felt it.
The second half, they really chucked everything at you. I know they got over a couple of times, but you must have been really pleased with your defensive effort as well.
Yeah, you know, Robbo's done a lot of work over the past weeks I've been out, so you can see in the boys, you know, the effort's there, and you know, I think we can tidy up a few bits, but you know, that's just footy. So.
And a bit of game management in that last 10-15 minutes as well. As I say, kind of cast going back at you, but you tactically it felt like you got it right in the last 10. Yeah,
you know, they were always going to come out pretty strong at the end. We knew what kind of team they are now, so I think for us boys to get that win is massive for us. So you know, they can take a lot of confidence out of that game, and just look forward to next week.
It's been an up and down season for you, but What does it mean to kind of get a win on a stage like this, at an event like this?
It's massive, you know, it's good for the rugby league community in England, so it's good to have that sort of concept for us boys, and you know, it's just good to be back out there as well playing some footy.
5-6 weeks left of the season. Does this give you a kind of building block to finish strong?
Yeah, definitely. We've got a lot of you know, young boys coming through the grades now, like Aidan McGowan and Sam Horsell, so you know, it's good to see them coming through the grades. So,
well, congratulations, enjoy it.
Thank you. Cheers, mate.
So that's a wrap here at Elland Road for Magic Weekend 2024. 2 days, 6 games, and still plenty of questions to be answered in the Betfred Super League table. We're setting up for a thrilling race to Old Trafford, and we'll be there every single week right here on The Last Tackle.